Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the online VGC 17 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. As I mentioned in the last couple of episodes, I'm actually going to be on a quick vacation from tomorrow up until Saturday, so I'm taking a trip to Cancun with a couple of friends just for a nice break, and when I'm back, I basically have 3 to 4 weeks of winter break, so during that I really want to make as much content as possible. So if you have any suggestions for what kind of content you would like to see, definitely let me know in the comments below. I would really appreciate it. And I'm going to try to record a couple of episodes tonight as well, so you guys still have episodes of Road to Ranked while I am gone. But we're going to get started with the first episode, and of course I am still using the team, or I guess I just started using it, but I am using the team that I brought to the San Jose Regional Championships. Obviously it looks a little bit familiar because it is an edited version of the team that I brought to London, and it's been a really fun team to use. I'm really excited to feature it on Road to Ranked a little bit more. So hope you guys enjoy. As always, if you do, please share your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, our first opponent of the day is not going to have a Trick Room team, and the reason, why I point that out is because when I see Pokemon like Marowak, Celestia, and Gyarados, like there's normally a Porygon 2 on that team comp, but surprisingly no Porygon 2 on my opponent's team. I can't just go with the Rain lead though, because if I do, Gigalith will just shut me down, so I do have to be aware of that. It is a pretty big concern. I'm thinking I actually want to go with my Metagross and my Kartana as a lead. Metagross basically puts on a lot of pressure against everything. Actually, I'm double thinking right now. Maybe I want to go Tapu Koko instead. Because Tapu Koko puts on pressure against the electric types. Yeah, I'll have Tapu Lele in the back. And for the last one, I'm actually going to go with Pelipper. The reason why I want to go with Pelipper here is because I do have a Focus Sash item, and so that means I can take an attack from the Nao-Ego. I believe that's how you pronounce it. That's what people are saying, Nao-Ego. And it means that I can also survive a Tapu Koko attack and potentially set up a Tailwind. So, or just retaliate with the Scald. So let's see what my opponent decides to bring here. No Porygon 2 is definitely interesting, but Gigalith makes things very tricky. And Gigalith, of course, did win the London International Championships on Miguel's team. And actually, he is going to be the Gigalith here, lead here, so that's pretty interesting. Wasn't expecting that, but I'm okay with that. So we both bring our Tapu Kokos out. I think that's his Tapu Koko's ability going off first. I actually can't tell, as Gigalith is going to get the Sandstream up. So let's see what my opponent has. I'd really like to actually just Earthquake here. It's not going to knock out Gigalith, but it'll do a lot. He's definitely got to be afraid of the Metagross in general. I mean, he could just go for a Thunderbolt into that slot. But yeah, I don't know. Like, if I just Earthquake, it'll do a ton of... It'll knock out Coco. Coco's, I don't think, has the Focus Sash here. And, like, I think Gigalith here protects, or it switches out. So I'm going to go for the Earthquake play. And I'm going to protect Coco. Marowak might also want to switch in. That's another reason. Although I suppose, given the position right now, maybe you wouldn't want to switch it in. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of this play, I guess, because Thunderbolt's probably going to go into Metagross, and I might just lock myself into Earthquake. But, okay, my Coco protects first, so that might mean that his Coco is not going to protect. Is Gigalith going to protect? Ooh, he goes for a Volt Switch, actually. That does a ton of damage. I don't know if that's Specs damage or not, actually, though. I mean, it is electric terrain up, so that just might be its normal damage output. And Marowak does come in. Okay, so that's why I wanted to go for an Earthquake. Now, I'm not going to knock them out, I don't think, but it'll do a ton of damage here. And I'll get the free switch into Pelipper if I lose my Metagross, which I think I will. Oof, yeah. Brings both under 50%. Oh, it's a weakness policy Gigalith as well. Oof. Okay. What is it? He just goes for a Rock Slide, though. This is perfect. And the reason why this is perfect is because I get the switching into Pelipper. Unless this knocks me out somehow. Okay, good. Yeah, what I can do here is just Earthquake and switch into Pelipper. So, I actually got the Marowak switch in that I was hoping to see. Was through a Volt Switch instead of a regular switch, but I'm perfectly content with that, because now I can just Earthquake again. I'll be able to switch into my Pelipper, and that's why I brought Pelipper, because it does have Focus Sash, so I can take an attack from Coco, and it means I can either set up Tailwind or just retaliate back with an attack. So, I feel pretty good about my position right now. That first turn played out how I wanted it to. I mean, I could have just went for the Meteor Mash onto Gigalith. And an interesting thing is, if you have Marowak on your team and Tapu Koko, then you obviously can't just use electric type attacks when you have both of them out. So, I suppose if I just knocked out Gigalith there, yeah, Tapu Koko can't come back in. Shema? Around 6 a.m.? 6 a.m.? Yeah. Thanks. 我一会儿准备。 Yeah, so Pelipper comes in. Just talking to my dad there. Okay, Gigalith protects, so no switch outs here, which is also promising. And that's just going to be a knockout. So what this means is Tapu Koko will probably come back in, but it means I can potentially set up Tailwind next turn. He's got to know that I'm also banded here. Yeah, so Marowak just picks up the knockout. And let's see what comes in. I would guess Tapu Koko. Or Metagross picks up the knockout onto Marowak. I think Koko will come out. I feel like it's got to be Sashed. Gigalith didn't have Sash, obviously had AV. Yep, it is Koko coming back out. Actually, perhaps I can't Tailwind as freely as I'd like. Because he's just going to go for an electric type attack. He could go for a discharge too if he has it, but then he'd have to attack his own slot. Part of me still does want to set up Tailwind though. I guess I could also switch out Metagross and set up Tailwind. But then I could potentially face a double knockout. So yeah, I'm gonna Earthquake. What does my opponent have? And I want to Tailwind, or do I just want to attack? I'm gonna Tailwind because I knocked out Marowak, so that means I can Thunderbolt freely. Ooh, he actually goes for a Wide Guard, which means we might see a Discharge, but that's okay because I was actually expecting to lose Pelipper here. Oh no, it's actually just a Volt Switch coming out too. Huh, interesting. So that's not how I was expecting things to play out, but I think I'm okay with that. Especially because Gigalith did have Wide Guard, so he could have been going for that a little bit earlier. And Gyarados comes in, okay. Still a little bit scary, because Gyarados does have a lot of good attacks. I would guess that's the Z move, Gyarados. But setting up Tailwind here is beneficial for me. Yeah, Earthquake's not going to do anything here. So I kind of could have, I mean, I could have switched out there, but I still like my positioning here. And the reason why I like it is because Gigalith is basically forced to Wide Guard again. But I'm going to go for the Earthquake in case he doesn't Wide Guard or switches out, and I'm going to go for the safe Hurricane onto Gyarados. I basically want my opponent to knock me out so I get a free switch in. And by Earthquaking, that means that Gigalith cannot attack, and it means it either switches, or he could switch out, but if he switches out, then he just gets knocked out. So I feel like if you're my opponent, you probably have to just go for the Wide Guard or for the Protect. Maybe I could have switched out, actually, I guess. Like, I think a better play might have been to just Scald the Gigalith slot and switch out Metagross, because it's saying, okay, if you switch out, then get knocked out. But let's see. Gyarados right now is pressured by Hurricane, and I feel like it's gonna be the Water Z move one, but Gigalith does switch out, so that means Koko probably goes down here. So it does come out, yeah. Yep, and Earthquake just goes off. So even if he's sashed, I mean, I'm really content with this. This is basically how I wanted to pin my opponents. I was saying, oh, maybe I should have switched out, but nope, Koko just goes down. That's really, really good news for me, because I do have Tapu Koko and Tapu Lele in the back for my team. And I outspeed with Pelipper as well, of course. But Gyarados is pretty bulky. I do get the Confusion, though, which is a little bit unfortunate. Getting a Confusion off Hurricane and getting the Confusion hit, the odds are pretty slim. And Gyarados actually gets the Dragon Dance off, so that's scary. That is something I feared. But it's not too much of a concern, quite frankly. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. Here's what I'm going to do this next turn, though. So, Gigalith comes back out, which means the sand is up, which means I can't Hurricane safely. There are 2 more turns of Tailwind left, and Gigalith, as we did see, has access to Wide Guard. So we're not in the clear just yet. Although a Confusion hit would probably just ruin things for my opponent. I think Gigalith's going to have to Wide Guard here, or Protect. I actually have to think really carefully about this still. I think I'm going to Scald Gyarados. Actually, yeah. So, I'm actually just going to Earthquake and I'm going to Scald. Because I know I've got Lele and Koko in the back, and I know I have the Z move on Lele. And he doesn't Wide Guard. Oh, perfect. So, I didn't want to switch out there because these 2 Pokemon are both really low HP. And basically, if I switch out, and they're slower than my Koko and my Lele, so if I switch out, then my opponent could actually just take advantage of that. Gyarados actually is faster once it gets the Dragon Dance boost. It does go for the Waterfall here. Going to target down that Gyarados, but that's okay. It wasn't a read necessarily predicting the Gigalith to not Protect or Wide Guard, although I am a little bit surprised. But my main point is, you know, Gyarados has done his job at this point. Let's see if Gyarados has the Citrus Berry. I get a crit there as well. But yeah, now it's basically game. I bring in Lele and Coco, and there's nothing Gyarados can do to knock out both at the same time, other than, I suppose, an Earthquake like crits Lele. That might be able to do it. But yeah. Let's see. So, kind of talking about that last turn, I actually wasn't exactly sure, but I was running out of time a little bit. But the reasoning is, okay, so if he protects here, I still have one more turn of Tailwind, and then Lele has the Shattered Psyche move, the Z move, and I also have Substitute, so if my opponent like tries to double protect on the last turn, I could capitalize by subbing with Lele and Thunderbolting to the Giglet slot. If I get that sub up, then I can just Shattered Psyche the Gyarados slot safely the next turn. So now it's a pretty easy double target. Just gonna Z move, because if he protects, I'll knock him out anyway, and no reason not to at this point, and I'll Thunderbolt. So yeah, this game went really well. A lot of it, I mean, that first turn was super nice, and it does go for the protect, so Shattered Psyche plus the Sand might actually just knock out Gyarados right now. And that's one of the nice things, being able to put yourself in positions. That's why Z-move on Lele is really nice, and Substitute, because especially if you have Tailwind up, your opponent will be inclined to protect in the end of the game. So what you can do is, or not the end of the game, the end of Tailwind, should that be a thing. So if, you know, that is, if you are in a situation you could get just free damage off, and I really like what Z-moves can still attack a little bit through Protect, because it ensures damage. Sometimes that's really nice for the late game or the end game, where if you've like chipped a Pokemon enough, you'll just be able to pick up the knockout. And you see there actually does pick up the knockout because of Psychic Terrain, and Lele is a very strong Pokemon. So we do pick up a knockout there, we do pick up a win for our first game in today's episode, which was really nice. Those teams are always really scary, and for me, you know, part of the reason why I used Rain again in San Jose and why I brought it to London is because I felt like a lot of players were ill-prepared, but that's slowly not becoming the case, you know. People are obviously adjusting as the metagame develops, and I actually really want to do a metagame analysis once I am back from Cancun. I want to talk about the teams that we saw in London, the teams that we saw in San Jose, like the teams that we saw on the top cut for both of those events. And I want to talk a little bit about trends that we're seeing developing with this metagame, you know, really cool teams that we've seen and all that. So hopefully that's something you guys would want to see. I will plan on, I want to make one of those right when I'm back. Also, we'll need to get those team analyses up, so I'm planning on doing one for the Torkoal team. It's long overdue, but I'll be back when I'll be up when I'm back, and then I'll probably do a team analysis on this London/San Jose team. Still really bummed out that I didn't perform as well in London. It just kind of stings being like one game away from making day 2, but I was glad I had an okay performance in San Jose. Like top 8 is, yeah, I've done better at regionals before, so I wish I could have taken it further, but I just wasn't very prepared for my top 8 matchup, and definitely, like, I didn't realize how bad of a matchup Porygon 2 plus Muck was, so that's something that if I had to edit this team, I'd probably have another couple of ways to counter it. But this next opponent is rocking a really interesting team, and that's mainly because of Flygon and the Braviary, 2 Pokemon I have not went up against in this metagame really at all. But rounding it out is the Arachnid, which actually was very dominant in San Jose, making it on the finals. Both players had it, both Gavin and Enosh, very veteran players, and 2 of the best players really ever to play the game. They both had Arachnid on their team. Very different builds, though, and that's a Pokemon I want to dive into in the future. Yeah, it's just really, really strong, although it's kind of funny because when you run Rain, you actually kind of help Arachnid a little bit, so I'm a little bit scared of that. But otherwise, we've got the Nile Eagle, the Tapu Lele, and the Togedemaru, so really scary team comp in general. Let's see. I could go with Rain this time, and part of me actually really wants to, because it allows me to set up Tailwind. I don't know, it feels like it's relatively safe in terms of options. So, yeah, let's go for it. In the back, who do I want? I could really see myself bringing all of these Pokemon, which is why this is a little bit hard to decide on. I'm running out of time, though, so I probably should decide. Lele Metagross is like the easy pick. Yeah, I guess there's a Togedemaru, so I can't just Thunderbolt freely. So yeah, let's go Lele Metagross. So I'm going with the, basically 2... I should rephrase that. So like, Golduck and Pelipper, they're almost always seen in tandem, and Lele and Metagross with this team, not necessarily as always, because, you know, you can bring one or the other, but they're like, they complement each other really well, right? Like, Pelipper sets up the Rain for Golduck, so it just gets the speed boost and outspeeds everything, and Lele sets up the Psychic Terrain for Metagross. So we actually see Togedemaru and Braviary come out here for my opponent. There are a lot of options that can happen right now. Now, one thing that I actually didn't talk about is that I do run Encore, and ooh, Togedemaru reveals the Air Balloon right away, and that's pretty helpful as well, for a multitude of reasons. So, what I'm going to do turn 1 is I'm actually going to Tailwind, and I'm going to Z-move Hydro Pump. I don't want to risk missing, because missing against the Togedemaru with the Rain team is very bad news. So here's what I want to talk about. So I added Encore onto Golduck, and it does go for a Fake Out, which means I will be able to Encore it next turn. Yeah, and so that's one reason why I do have Encore. He's going to set up a Tailwind with Braviary, but that's fine. That's exactly why I went for a Tailwind of my own. I suppose I actually don't even need to Encore this next time. I might just go for the Hydro Vortex. But yeah, I did add Encore for positions where you can just like get a free Encore off. And let's see who my opponent has in the back. Potentially... nothing I'm too worried about. I think this next turn I'm just going to go for a Scald onto Braviary and a Hydro Vortex onto Togedemaru. Togedemaru could protect, it could switch out as well, so... nope, never mind. Just get it off. And there is a reason why I'm prioritizing this knockout. It's because, of course, Togedemaru is electric typing, and it has access to Nuzzle. It's just not fun to deal against, especially with Zing Zap. You can paralyze as well. So, I mean, this is one of the points I want to talk about, because when everyone saw my London team, and even this team, they're like, wow, you're so weak to water. Like, how can Rain beat electric types? Or not water, you're so weak to electric. And this is one of the cases where it's like, just, you know, you have to really deny the electric type Pokemon or the electric type moves from coming out. And in this case, I'm able to just pick up the knockout. As Braviary goes for a Rock Slide. What the heck? That was not an attack I was expecting to see. As Pelipper takes out with over 50%. Hopefully no flinch. No flinch. Nice. A Scald Burn would be really cool too, but not kind of my chickens. Ooh, that does so much damage, and it gets the burn. Everything going my way right now. So that's perfect. Yeah, I mean, Rock Slide makes sense. You know, go for the flinch chance. It's super effective against Golduck, or excuse me, against Pelipper. But yeah, going back to electric type things, like if you consider the electric type Pokemon in the format, you've got what? For example, Tapu Koko, Raichu, Xurkitree, Togedemaru, for example. Like all of those get one shot by Golduck's Z move, or even just a Hydro Pump. So if they're not Sash, you basically just nuke them instantly. And that's a big deal because if you deny them from getting even an attack off, then you don't have to worry about the electric type weakness. That's not to say that the team's not weak to electric types, and that's not to say that they don't cause a problem, but a lot of people are like, oh, that's the biggest issue with the team. And the main issues are actually stuff like Trick Room plus Porygon 2 plus unoptimal matchups, such as something like a Muck, which is why, you know, I actually didn't really prepare for that, and I ran into it over in San Jose, and I was like, man, P2 plus Muck is just no fun. And I'm just going to Scald Hurricane here because Arachnid's lower. Scald should be able to pick up the knockout. Yeah. So, for example, Porygon 2 is okay because I had 3 ways to deal with it. Double target with my Rain lead, double target with my Psychic lead, or taunt with Tapu Koko, which I added. And wow, Hurricane just nukes Arachnid there. Gets a critical hit. Probably a little bit fortunate there. I think if I don't get that crit, it probably survives and gets something like a Lunge or a Liquidation or a Leech Life off, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think my opponent really had very much for Rain, which was kind of exactly why I brought it here. So here I should just be able to Scald and yeah, double Scald here. So yeah, I mean, talking about the team in general, like there are bigger weaknesses, and Trick Room is definitely one, although like the Trick Room weakness wasn't as bad as people really thought it was either. Like it's only the combination really of for example, Porygon 2 or a Trick Room user plus something that I can switch really safely into. So for example, if I went up against a lot of teams where Porygon 2 teams like didn't have a safe switch and into Psychic, and if that's the case, then you can double up and basically guarantee a knockout onto something like a Trick Room Sweeper. Where the 2 times I played on stream, I really got my butt kicked, and I don't know, like I felt like out of the 4 games from the ones that I played, like 2 of them I felt like I felt pretty content with how I played. It was game 2 of the first set I played and game 1 of the second set where I was like, okay, you know, I feel pretty content, and it just got a little bit unlucky, one with a damage roll and one with a miss, but it's still really hard to play those matchups because what this team kind of does is it pins your opponent into unoptimal positions and situations where you can basically consistently double up onto knockouts, and you don't have to worry about predicting what's going to protect or not, because if you can catch your opponent with the protect, if you can get them with an Encore or a Tailwind up, you basically just let the offense go and you steamroll really, really hard. And sometimes, you know, Trick Room is a little bit hard to deal with. I did have Taunt Tapu Koko to shut down Porygon 2. It was actually a really, really good tech. Like, I faced, I think, like, out of the 6 Porygon 2s that I probably went up against, like 4 of them just got completely shut down by it, and I was really able to roll from there. But once I went into the top 8, it was pretty hard, and when you have a Muck on next to Porygon 2, that also makes things a little bit difficult. I'm rambling on a little bit at this point, but I just kind of wanted to talk about the team because it's a really fun team, and there are a lot of matchups, and you know, just wanted to address some things that I've seen people say kind of and commented. So yeah. that's going to be it for this episode. Like I said, I will be pre-recording a bunch of episodes, so stay tuned. There will be a lot of more fun content. Road to Rank you guys still will have for a daily basis while I'm gone, and that's something I really want to keep myself towards, or push myself towards for this year. You guys have been so amazing in terms of supporting the channel. In the last 3 weeks that since Sun and Moon has come out, the channel has seen so much love and growth. And to me, it's never about a numbers game. It's more about just getting as many people into VGC as possible, and it is awesome to see just more people being interested. I met a couple of you guys in San Jose and in London, and it's just astounding to me, the number of people that came up to me and were like, thank you for making your videos. You know, I learned a lot about VGC from them. Like, that's why I make them, so I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate it. I really do read every comment that you guys have, and I really do appreciate them so much. So thank you guys for the love. Just wanted to say that because, like, I don't know, even though I say it's like a not no numbers game, it's really cool because we were at like 60K 2 weeks ago. Now we're at 65K, and one of my goals has been to get 100K on YouTube because that silver plaque is just really cool. And you know, I don't know when I'll get there, but I know I'm just gonna keep working hard and making content, and I hope you guys enjoy. So a little bit of an ending speech there for you guys, but thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, leave a like if you did, and I'll see you guys in the next episode, and I'll see you guys in a few days when I'm actually back, and you know, we'll be doing regular stuff again. But yeah, there will be Road to Rank for the next couple of days as well, so keep your eyes open for that. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Peace.